Hi, very good morning. I'm Dr. Janak Patel, MD, General Physician. I'm not a cardiologist, but I'm still a student. We'll be discussing on one of the very interesting topic we call as a Marfan syndrome, which you might see once in a while. And Marfan syndrome is very frequently associated with good number of congenital heart disease. So we are going to discuss regarding that and how you identify Marfan syndrome. So same heading, definition, etiology, pathophysiology, clinical features, investigations, differential diagnosis, treatment and complications. So this was the person who first described a syndrome, and behind his name, Marfan syndrome was the name given to that. This is a famous person we call Abraham Lincoln. He was also suffering from Marfan syndrome. And one of the very common feature is aneurysmal dilatation of aorta. Now, what is Marfan syndrome? Marfan syndrome is a chromosome 15 abnormality, which is autosomal dominant inherited disorders, which leads to defective formation of connective tissue. So, there is loss of elastic tissue in different parts like skeletal muscles, cardiovascular system, CNS, respiratory system, skin, eye, etc. Multiple organs. But basically there is a decreased formation of elastic tissue which leads to decreased resistance or decreased expansion of that particular structure. So etiology wise it is a dominant chromosomal 15 defect where there is a formation of extracellular matrix becomes less. Microfibrils in elastic fiber also production becomes less. Even in ciliary ligament in an eye, the formation of a elastic fiber is diminished, and that results into multiple group of symptoms and signs. Incidence rate is very less, 1 in 5,000 or 1 in 10,000. Male and female are equally affected. The parents with Marfan syndrome, they will have a high chance of having 50% of the child with Marfan. Two unaffected parents, chance is 1 in 10,000. But there are always 25% chance of spontaneous mutation. We already told you because of this chromosome 15 abnormality, there is a defective formation of elastic tissue in connective tissue, and that results into all different anomalies. Mainly it will affect aorta, producing aortic root dilatation, and which can be risk factor for aortic dissection, aneurysm, rupture, etc. Most dangerous one. Because of ciliary ligament being defective, you will have a dislocation, or we call as abnormal position of lens. Ligaments in joints will be defective, that will give rise to hyperextensibility of joints. Skin structure also, because of lack of elastic tissue in a lung, in spinal dura, etc., that will give rise to multiple defects and group of symptoms and signs. Now there are different groups which puts them, and those particular things are utilized for diagnosis of Marfan syndrome. And one of the most common utilized is Jandt system. There is another called as a MAS, and third Burling. In Jandt system there are major criteria, minor criteria. By and large, one major or two major with involvement of the two separate different organs or involvement of the three different systems almost confirms the diagnosis of Marfan. Inner mass, mitral valve prolapse, aortic root dilatation, stretch marks, and skeletal manifestation are considered for diagnosis. And in Berlin, there is a list of different clinical symptoms and signs which are taken, and you calculate the points. You can utilize any one of those. This is a Berlin nosology where there is a clinical manifestation of connective tissue disorders described under Marfan syndrome. There are major criteria, there are minor criteria. The three common structures which are very commonly utilized is skeletal, or we call musculoskeletal, ocular, and cardiovascular findings. Pulmonary, skin, CNS, etc. are not commonly being utilized, but they are also one of the important clue in diagnosis. We'll be taking one by one. These are all the organs which are being involved: cardiovascular, skeletal muscle, ocular, pulmonary, skin, dura mater, and genetic findings. So these are all the table which are taken into Gent's diagnostic criteria. So these are all major criteria which are taken. Say as for example, in cardiovascular system, dilatation of root of aorta, dissection of ascending aorta. In skeletal muscle, pectus carinatum, pectus excavatum, upper segment bigger than lower segment, wrist and thumb signs, scoliosis, reduced elbow extension, pes planus, protrusio acetabuli. In ocular, ectopic lentis or lens dislocation. Pulmonary, usually you come across what we call as a spontaneous pneumothorax, bleb formation, emphysema. In skin, usually in a minor criteria, you can come across what we call as a stria. In dura mater, actually lumbosacral dural ectasia is included in major criteria, and genetic findings are included in major criteria, chromosomal 15 abnormalities. So that is how this Gent's diagnostic nosology is utilized. This is revised criteria where you give a point. Wrist and thumb sign is given 3. Wrist or thumb sign 1 point. Pectus carinatum 2. Pectus excavatum 1. Hind foot deformity 2. Pes planus 1 point. Pneumothorax 2. Dural ectasia 2. So these are different things. Now if you have got some of these findings, and if total comes to more than 6, I think, then you put the diagnosis of Marfan syndrome. Sorry, more than 7 points. More than 7 points. So ectopia lentis and family history of Marfan syndrome is a very important criteria. Systemic features, particularly involving more than 2, more than 7 points, straightforward in favor of Marfan diagnosis. If there is a family history of Marfan syndrome, and if there is a Z criteria more than 2 over 20 years of age and more than 3 above 20 years, then also it goes in favor of Marfan syndrome. By and large, we say that if there is more than 7 points in this criteria, it is in favor of Marfan syndrome. These are criteria patient with no family history, and these are criteria with a positive family history. With no family history, ectopia lentis, genetic criteria, FBN1 mutation, or we call chromosomal mutation, and systemic features with more than 7 points. you can consider that ectopia lentis is a very, very important clue. So if the Z score, which indicates aortic dissection, that is aorta involvement ectopia lentis becomes the most important point. You can see that the point given for that aortic root here, ectopia lentis, that is not mentioned here. No, it is not mentioned. So that is a very important point. So this is what we call, you can see the lens is dislocated. So when you see that, this is in favor. This is called ectopia lentis. So two very important features, that is aortic root dilatation and ectopia lentis is very, very, you can see here the root is dilated. You can see a very big aortic root. So 6 organ involvement or 7 points, strong family history with involvement of the 2 organ system including 1 major criteria, or negative family history, 2 major criteria, 2 system involved, and involvement of the 3rd system. Depending upon that, you label that as Marfan syndrome. This is same what we have mentioned before, that is strong family history, genetic criteria positive, with 1 major criteria in 1 system and 2nd system also involved. By and large, we consider aorta and ectopia lentis. Absence of strong family history, 2 major criteria or 2 system involved, and 3rd system involved. So in 2 separate systems, that is ectopia lentis and say aortic root dilatation plus 1 more finding. Relative family history of major criteria present, major criteria in 1 system and 2nd system involved. Then you call relative of index case. These are those which are being utilized, where again same like what we have mentioned before, all these criteria are given points, and if maximum is 20, but if there is a systemic involvement more than 7, so anyone, you can see that the wrist and thumb sign is having a 3 score, while this all other skeletal findings, scoliosis, protrusia, then pes planus, hand deformity, then upper segment and lower segment ratio, upper segment and lower segment ratio, they are having 1 points. Then skin stria, myopia, etc. is having mitral valve prolapse, all those. But aortic root dilatation and ectopia lentis becomes the major point. So ectopia lentis is a very important point. So that is also put as an ectopia lentis syndrome, where you got a dislocated lens or sublocated lens with or without systemic features, or may be associated or may not be associated with genetic criteria, and associated with aortic root dilatation. Mass we already told you, myopia, or we call mitral valve prolapse, aortic root dilatation, stria and skeletal findings. Maybe you might have a systemic feature more than 5, but at least 1 skeletal features is there, may or may not be associated with ectopia lentis. And there is a 3rd group they divide, mitral valve prolapse syndrome, where there is a mitral valve prolapse with aortic root dilatation and systemic feature without ectopia lentis. So these are some of the groups they divide, 3 groups: ectopia lentis, mass, where you got a mitral valve prolapse, myopia, aortic root dilatation, stria and skeletal finding. So those are. Now these are the major criteria which are being commonly considered. That is ectopia lentis with aortic root dilatation. This is pectus excavatum. Chest deformity we call pectus excavatum. Height, upper segment is bigger than lower segment. Arm span is bigger than the height. Those are some of the criteria which you can utilize. That is skeletal, oral cavity, eye, CVS, CNS findings, skin findings, and respiratory system. Among skeletal system, there are few criteria which are very commonly utilized. Height is tall, thin, hyperextendable joint, arm, legs, finger, toes disproportionately longer. There is a long narrow face. Either there is a pectus excavatum or pectus carinatum. Scoliosis, flat foot or we call pes planus. These are some of the common skeletal abnormality. So usually we use the word tall, thin, long arms, long legs, long finger, long toes, chest deformity and scoliosis. This is the common word which are being utilized as far as skeletal is concerned. Tall person, thin person, long arm, long legs, long fingers, long toes and chest deformity with scoliosis. So this is scoliosis, chest deformity, long fingers, long toes, height is more, long arms. That's why the arm span is good number of time even more than height. So ratio of arm span to height is more than 1. So these are some of the common things which you can see in a skeletal abnormality. So you can see this is arm span is great. It is more than the height. This is what we call as a wrist sign. This is pes planus. And this was the person we call Abraham Lincoln. He was suffering from what we call as a Marfan syndrome. So disproportionately long limbs, tall, slender, loose joints, scoliosis, pes planus, we call ectopia lentis or dislocated lens, dilated abdominal aorta or root of aorta, and secondary to that you can even aneurysm in thoracic and abdominal aorta, etc. and you have a genetic character. This is classical wrist sign. You can see this is overlapping. So this is called wrist sign. This is because of long finger and long thumb. Tall stretcher is also called as a dolichostenomelia. Long digits are called arachnodactyly. Thumb sign, wrist sign, sternal deformity like pectus excavatum or pectus carinatum, scoliosis, joint hypermobility, arm span is bigger than the height and the ratio is more than 1. There's a reduced extension of elbow less than 170 degree. Normally in all other people it is 180 degree. Medial displacement of the medial malleolus. Flat foot we call it a pes planus. This is called thumb sign. This is pectus excavatum. The height is bigger. But if you see the arm and if you take the arm span, complete arm span, it is bigger than the height. The ratio is almost more than 1. This is classical thumb sign. You can see the excessive movement at the joint. We call hyper mobility at the joint. Long tapering finger, long finger. This is a child whose height is more than the father. So height is very good. You can see here, long, thin person. Upper segment is bigger than lower segment. Upper segment is bigger than lower segment. This head of femur is extending into acetabulum, that is given a name protrusio acetabuli. So all these findings are commonly seen with skeletal. Lot of skeletal findings. And if you divide into major criteria, wrist and thumb sign is topmost. If both are present, it is 3 point. If one is present, 1 point. Scoliosis, very common, again 1 point. Reduced extension of elbow, 1 point. Medial displacement of a medial malleolus causing pes planus, that is again 1. Protrusio acetabuli, that is again an important point. So these are all what we call in skeletal system. So this is pes planus, this is wrist sign, this is thumb sign, this is scoliosis, this is acetabuli, and you can have even extension of elbow. These are also included in major criteria, that is pectus carinatum and excavatum. So this is carinatum, these are excavatum, these three are excavatum. This is thumb sign, arm span is bigger than the height. So wrist sign is also given a name, Walker sign, and thumb sign is given Sternberg sign. This is a name given by the other scientists. Upper segment is bigger than lower segment. Upper segment and lower segment or arm span is bigger than the height, and it is more than 1. Hypermobility of joint. We'll show you some of the figures. We are there. This is thumb sign. This is wrist sign. You can see this cannot be extended. It is less than 170 degree. Reduced extension of elbow. This is scoliosis. This is pes planus. This is protrusio acetabuli, means the head is extending and there is a protrusion. So that is why it is called protrusio acetabuli. You can get stria. These are skin stria with pectus excavatum. You can see this is hypermobility, and we already shown you one more also here. This is hypermobility, very characteristic. So these are all lot of skeletal signs. Among minor criteria, they include pectus excavatum of moderate severity in minor criteria, but with severe, which requires surgery, that is included in major criteria. So joint hypermobility is included in minor criteria. High arch palate means if you see this is very deep inside. So this is called high arch palate, and mandible malocclusion. And because of that mandible malocclusion, the teeth position will be crowded. So we'll get a crowded dentition. So that is, so high arch palate, crowded dentition, mandible mallocation. You can see this chin is protruding forward. In eye, you can have a dislocated lens or ectopia lentis. Retinal detachment is very common. Myopic eye, and in some of the person you can get even glaucoma and early cataract. So ectopia lentis is a major criteria, while in a minor criteria, flat cornea, hypoplastic iris, hypoplastic ciliary muscle, miosis. Then you can have two minor criteria or one major criteria, very important for diagnosis of Marfan syndrome. You can see this is partial dislocation, and if you come across lens in an anterior chamber, then that is called ectopia lentis. Among cardiovascular system, most common is dilatation of root of aorta, aneurysm of ascending or thoracic or abdominal aorta, mitral valve prolapse, aortic regurgitations, and sometimes even you get aortic dissections. So in a major criteria, dilatation of ascending aorta and aortic dissection comes in a major criteria. So good number of time you get dilatation, and you can see here this is big aneurysm, or sometime you can get even dissection. So root dilatation, in some of the person you can get a valvular structure abnormality like mitral valve prolapse. This is aortic root dilatation, which may require even a surgery, or you can get dissection of arteries or dissection of aortic aneurysm. This is big aneurysm showing you can see that this is a big aneurysm producing a sternal deformity. Among minor criteria, mitral valve prolapse, pulmonary artery dilatation, annular calcification of mitral valve, abdominal and thoracic aorta dissections, aneurysm and dissection. So one minor criteria is also helpful. So this is showing you mitral valve prolapse, and on auscultation you will get a murmur of mitral regurgitation and aortic regurgitation, quite common. As far as we already mentioned regarding lens, in oropharynx, high arch palate, crowded dentition, high palate, etc. We already mentioned mitral valve prolapse, aortic root dilatation. In pulmonary, spontaneous pneumothorax. In neurological, dural ectasia. In skin, stretch marks. Among lung, restrictive lung disease, spontaneous pneumothorax, and emphysema comes topmost on the list. Sleep apnea in some of the person. Ideally, there is no particular major criteria in respiratory system, but spontaneous pneumothorax, emphysema, and BLEP formation comes in a minor criteria. Restrictive lung disease, hypoventilation syndrome, spontaneous pneumothorax, early emphysema, and sleep apnea comes in minor criteria. In nervous system, dural ectasia is quite common, and that comes in again major criteria. And you can see here tingling numbness because of involvement of the spinal cord. So enlargement of the neural canal, thinning of the cortex, lamina vertebra are thinned out, widening of neural foramina, and meningocele is good number of time common, and they are included in, that is particularly lumbosacral dural ectasia is included in what we call as major criteria. Skin, stria, or we call stretch marks, are quite common, and presence of abdominal and inguinal hernia may be there, which are included in minor criteria. So stretch mark and hernia is included in minor criteria. This is a slide which is put together all the different criteria, whatever we have uttered till now. So mitral valve prolapse, myopia, ectopia lentis, scoliosis, arm span bigger than the height, upper segment bigger than lower segment, pes planus, this is myopia. These are some of the common features which are very important. You can see the height of this Marfan person and see this person with a normal height, and this is the height of a Marfan person for comparison. So this is one slide which is showing you how big is the height of a Marfan person, and this is a normal person. Among investigations, most important is clinical examination and investigation to find out the defects. As far as genetic study is concerned, you can do karyotyping and try to find out. Most important part is cardiovascular system examination and eye examination. So those two criteria are very important. As far as the musculoskeletal system is concerned, physical examination is more than enough. So in a suspected case, by and large now they are utilizing revised Jane's criteria. So if there is an aortic root dilatation with or without ectopia lentis, plus strong family history, and if there is a systemic score of more than 7, it fulfills all the criteria. If it fulfills all the criteria, you can go for genetic study, and if genetic study is positive, it is straightforward Marfan syndrome. If it is negative, then you can go for different groups and try to identify aortopathies which are related to that. So you can search for those particular groups. By and large, as far as management is concerned, screening and counseling is very important. Echocardiography to find out the amount of root dilatation. You should also do the study of ascending, descending aorta and abdominal aorta to look for the aneurysm or dissection. You can also look for the physical criteria. Counseling is very important, and genetic study of family member and the person involved should be done. Most important part is to increase the lifespan. Correct diagnosis. Some of the condition you can have a medical treatment, and good number of condition may require a surgical repairing work, particularly in eye, what we call as ectopia lentis or dislocated lens. We'll have to fix the lens. Medical treatment will be partially helpful in case of aortic root dilatation. You can give beta blockers. In mitral valve prolapse also beta blocker will be helpful. And in case of aortic root dilatation, you might have to go for a surgical repair. Prevention is better. So genetic counseling and even we call as amniocentesis to find out the genetic defect, chromosome 15 abnormality can be done. As far as myopia is concerned, glasses, and in case of ectopia lentis or sublocated lens, surgical fixation will be helpful. In a aortic root dilatation, usually surgery is absolutely necessary, good number of time. In a dentist also you can go for correction. In skeletal, there are hardly anything which can help you out, but in case of a severe deformities like pectus excavatum, which is producing a problem in hemodynamics, surgery will be necessary. So in all these conditions, surgery may be helpful, but in good number of conditions, there is no treatment available. So beta blocker, calcium channel blocker will be helpful to maintain the blood pressure and in a person with a aortic root dilatation. And surgical intervention should be done if there is a dilatation is severe, chances of aneurysms are there, or there is already an aneurysm. Strenuous exercise should be avoided. So beta blockers, calcium channel blockers are very helpful. Now they are also using TGF growth factor for treatment of aortic root dilatation. Beta blocker will reduce myocardial contractility and decrease the pulse pressure, and that will decrease the load on aortic root and reduces the chance of rupture or we call as dissection. Among complications, the most dangerous one is aortic aneurysm rupture or dissection, aortic regurgitation, mitral valve prolapse. Chances of cardiac arrhythmia is tremendous, and ectopia lentis or subluxated lens can produce lot of complications. So I end my lecture here. I hope this will be helpful to you. We see you in the next lecture.